Hello, students. Today we are going to study the 20th chapter of Aristotle's Poetics. This chapter deals with parts of language. Uh, just like you study in English parts of speech, we know that there are 8 parts of speech in English: noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction, interjection. But here in this chapter, you will see that the parts of speech or the parts of language that Aristotle deals with are a little bit different from the English parts of speech. So let us start. Language in general includes the following parts. So generally, Aristotle says that generally there are the following parts of language, and they are letter, syllable, connecting word, noun, verb, inflection or case, sentence or phrase. So letter, we know as in English there are 26 letters. Letter is a sound. Syllable again is a sound. It's an indivisible sound. Connecting word in English, connecting word means conjunction, but here when Aristotle will discuss this word, it will mean a little bit different from that. Noun, we know the is the name of anything, name of a person, place or thing. Verb is a word of action. Inflection means change in the form of a word which changes its function. For example, kind is an adjective. When we add ness, it becomes kindness and it becomes a noun. So this is called inflection. Or case, as we know, there are subjective case, objective case, possessive case. Sentence, is a meaningful group of words which has a verb, and phrase is again a group of words which generally doesn't have uh, a verb. Sometimes it may have, but it is also a group of words. A letter is an indivisible sound. So, according to Aristotle, letter, what is letter? It's an indivisible sound, a sound that cannot be divided. Yet, not every such sound. So, he says that every sound cannot be called a letter. Although letter is a sound that cannot be divided, but every such sound cannot be entitled as letter. But only one, but only that sound which can form part of a group of sounds. So, according to Aristotle, only that sound can be named as letter which can form the part of a group of sounds. For even brutes utter indivisible sounds. Brutes means animals. For means because even brutes, even animals utter, speak indivisible sounds, sounds that cannot be divided. None of which I call a letter. So those sounds I cannot give the name of a letter. The sounds that are spoken, that are made by animals, they cannot be called letters. The sound I mean may be either a vowel, a semi vowel, or a mute. So the sounds that are named as letter, they can be called vowel, and some of the letters are called semi vowel and some of them are called mutes. Mutes means those that don't have the sound of their own. For example, if you try to speak k without the help of a, it's impossible because K is a mute in itself. A vowel is that which, without impact of tongue or lip, has an audible sound. So he is giving the definition of vowel. What is a vowel? A vowel can be spoken. A vowel is that which, without the impact of tongue or lip, without the effect of tongue or lip, it can make an audible sound. Audible means that can be heard. So a vowel has its own sound, and the effect of tongue or lip is not required for that. A semi-vowel, that which with such impact has an audible sound as S and R. So the sounds like S and R he calls semi-vowels, because semi-vowel that which with such impact. So while pronouncing S and R, the impact of tongue and lip is required. So, with uh, a semi-vowel, that which with such impact, means the impact of tongue or lip, has an audible sound. S and R. A mute. So, as I already explained to you, mute, that which doesn't have its own sound. A mute, that which with such impact has by itself no sound, but joined to a vowel sound becomes audible as G and D. So he also says the same thing, that a mute doesn't have a sound of its own. A mute, that which with such impact has by itself no sound. So a mute doesn't have any sound of its own, but when it mingles, when it joins with a vowel sound, it creates a sound. For example, G. Now you may try to speak G without pronouncing E, because with G you have the sound E, and without the pronunciation of the sound E you cannot pronounce G or D. Just try it. No sound is created. These are distinguished according to the form assumed by the mouth and the place where they are produced. These are distinguished means these sounds are differentiated. Vowel or semi-vowel or mutes, they are differentiated according to the form assumed by the mouth, the form or the shape that is adopted by the mouth. While speaking different sounds, we make different types of mouth, we give different shapes to our mouth. So they are differentiated on the basis of the form of the mouth or the shape of the mouth and the place where they are produced. So different sounds are produced from different places of our mouth, of our lips, of our throat. For example, if we pronounce kha, kha is pronounced from inside the throat, and if we pronounce p, it is pronounced from our lips. So different sounds have different places of origin where they are produced according as they are aspirated or smooth. So according to the shapes of the mouth, or according to the place of their production or place of their origin, they can be called aspirated or smooth. So aspirated, which require effort in speaking, and smooth is just the opposite, which doesn't acquire which doesn't require effort on our part in order to speak them. Aspirated or smooth, or they can be long and short. So some sounds are long and some sounds are short, as they are acute, grave, or of an intermediate tone. So some sounds are acute, means sharp. Some sounds are grave, serious, or of an intermediate tone, means of a middle tone, uh, mediocre tone, which inquiry belongs in detail to the writer's own meter. Which inquiry means this discussion, this inspection belongs to the writer's own meter. So the writers who discuss prosody or who discuss meter, they have to deal with all these sounds in detail. Now, what is a syllable? A syllable is a non-significant sound. Non-significant means which doesn't have any meaning of its own. So, a non-significant sound composed of a mute and a vowel. So, a syllable is made up of a mute and a vowel. For gr without a is a syllable, as also with a, gra. Gr, gra or gra, they form a syllable. Although they are non-significant, means they are meaningless. Gra, gra, it's meaningless, but it's a sound which is produced by a mute and a vowel simultaneously. But the investigation of these differences belongs also to metrical science. So, the investigation or the inquiry or the discussion of these sounds of syllable or sounds of letters, they belong to metrical science, means they belong to prosody. A connecting word is a non-significant sound. Non-significant again means meaningless, which doesn't have a meaning of its own. So, a connecting word is a non-significant sound which neither causes nor hinders. So, a connecting word doesn't cause, doesn't create, nor hinder. Hinder means to obstruct the union of many sounds into one significant sound. So, the unification of sounds in order to make one significant sound, a connecting word is used. It may be placed at either end or in the middle of a sentence. So, the connecting word can be used in the middle of a sentence or at the end of a sentence. It means that it cannot be used in the beginning of a sentence. Or a non-significant sound which out of several sounds, each of them significant, is capable of forming one significant sound. Or a non-significant sound. Non-significant sound means meaningless sound which out of several sounds, out of many sounds, each of them significant. Every of them is meaningful. Significant means meaningful. Is capable of forming, capable of making one significant sound, means one meaningful sound. As these are the words amphi, peri and the like. So, like these words are called connecting words, amphi, peri. Or a non-significant sound which marks the beginning, end or division of a sentence. So, a connecting word can be a non-significant, means a meaningless sound which marks, which shows the beginning of a sentence, the end of a sentence or the division of a sentence. Such, however, that it cannot correctly stand by itself at the beginning of a sentence. So, as he already told us, that a connecting word can be written at the end of a sentence or in the middle of a sentence, but cannot stand by itself at the beginning of a sentence. So, a sentence cannot begin with a connecting words. So, the examples of connecting words are men, itoi and d. A noun is a composite significant sound. So, according to Aristotle, the definition of noun is a composite means united or synthesized. Significant means meaningful. So, a noun is a synthesized meaningful sound, not marking time. So, it doesn't show time. A noun doesn't show time, of which no part is in itself significant. So it is a united meaningful word, but its part are not meaningful, of which no part is in itself significant means no part in itself is meaningful. Although when they are united, they make a noun which is meaningful, but the parts in themselves are not meaningful. For in double or compound words, double or compound words means united words or composite words, we do not employ the separate parts as if each were in itself significant. So, in such composite words, we do not employ means we do not use the separate parts, the the different parts as if each were in itself significant. So, each of them is not significant, each of them is not meaningful. As already explained, that the parts of a noun are in themselves meaningless, but simultaneously or together they create a meaning. Thus, in Theodorus, God given. So, he gives the example of this word God given. The doron or gift is not in itself significant. So, the gift is not meaningful, but when it is united with God, it becomes meaningful. God given. A verb is a composite significant sound. So, what is verb according to Aristotle? Verb is a composite means united or synthesized significant sound, meaningful sound. Marking time, it shows time. About noun, he said that it doesn't show time, but he said not marking time. But about the verb, he says that it shows time, marking time. It shows time in which, as in the noun, no part is in itself significant. So, like noun, as was in the case of noun, parts were not significant. In the verb also, the parts are not significant, in which, as in the noun, no part in itself significant. So the parts are not meaningful, but when they get united, they become meaningful. For man or white does not express the idea of when. So the word man or the word white, they don't show the idea, they don't give the meaning of something happened when. They don't reply the question when we say when, it is not replied by the words man or white, but he walks or he has walked does connote time, present or past. So these groups of words, he walks or he has walked, they connote time means they show time, they express time, present or past. He walks, it expresses present. He has walked, it expresses past. Inflection, as I already told you, is the change in the shape of a word. Inflection belongs both to the noun and verb and expresses either the relation of to or the like. So inflection, it is the change in the form of a word, and it shows relation or that of number. So sometimes it can express the number, whether one or many, as men or men. So it is the change in the shape of the word. When it is written man, it denotes one man, and when it is written as men, it denotes more than one man. Or the modes or tones. Modes means methods, tones means manner in actual delivery. So, modes or tones means methods or manners in real delivery. E.g., for example, a question or a command. Did he go and go? So, did he go? It is a question. Go, it is a command, it is an order. Are verbal inflections of this kind. So, they are changes in the form of a verb. So, they are called verbal inflections. The verb go changes its shape. When we say, did he go? It becomes a question. When we say go, it becomes a command. A sentence or phrase is a composite significant sound. So, sentence or phrase, it is a composite means united or synthesized significant meaningful sound. Some at least of whose parts are in themselves significant. So, a sentence or a phrase has parts which are meaningful in themselves. And you noted here, he says the parts of a noun are not significant, of which no part is in itself significant. When he was talking of verb, again he said, as in the noun, no part in itself is significant. But here he says that the parts of a sentence or the parts of a phrase can be meaningful. Some at least. So, at least some parts of a sentence or a phrase can be significant, can be meaningful in themselves. For not every such group of words consists of verbs and nouns. For not every such groups of words, so every group of such words means every sentence or every phrase is not made up of only verbs or nouns. The definition of man, for example, he gives the phrase, this is a phrase, the definition of man, it is a phrase. But it may dispense even with the verb. So, dispense with means can discard, can do away with. So, in the phrase, the definition of man, we don't have a verb. It is a phrase, it doesn't use a verb, but it is meaningful. But it may dispense with. So, dispense with means throw away, cast away the verb. So, it has thrown away the verb is not there, but the phrase is meaningful, the definition of man. Still, it will always have some significant part. So, although verb is not there, but some significant parts are there, some meaningful parts are there, as in walking or Cleon, son of Cleon. So, these are the two examples of phrases. In a sentence or phrase may form a unity in two ways. So, a sentence or a phrase may form means can make a unity, an entity in two ways, in two methods. So, a phrase or a sentence can make an entity in two manners, in two methods. Either as signifying one thing, signifying means denoting or meaning one thing, or as consisting of several parts linked together. Or consisting of means if it is made up of several parts, many parts linked together, united together, joined together. Thus, the Iliad is won by the linking together of parts. So, Iliad, the word Iliad, is made up of joining together different sounds. The definition of man by the unity of the thing signified, while the phrase definition of man signifies one thing, so it is an entity in itself. Iliad, Iliad is an entity in itself. It is made up of different sounds, and definition of man is a phrase which is an entity in itself because it signifies one thing. It signifies a single thing. So here the chapter comes to an end.